Hi everyone, welcome back to Side View. Hope every single one of you is doing great. Thanks for joining. What I propose us to do today is do a little reaction video of the interview of Benjamin Netanyahu, aka BB, the wanted war criminal. An interview that was conducted by the Triggernometry guys. We can see, I think it's Konstantin Kisin in the middle, and his partner, I don't know who it is, don't care really. And we're gonna try to do a little reaction on their interview of Benjamin Netanyahu. As you well know, I've already watched the video, so it's not a secret. And if you ask me to summarize that video in one word, I would say it's a total disgrace. I mean, it's a shameful propaganda video where they just kind of I wouldn't say throwing softballs, but they're throwing questions out there that questions that are being asked every day. But as you well know, it is not the first question that is the issue. The issue is to be able to push back to push back with a follow-up question when you see the lies that are coming out of the first answer. And in this regard, I don't know if you remember the interview that Netanyahu had with the Nelk boys. Actually, maybe that it's because of the fallback of that interview that he had to do some catchback and grant an interview to those guys. Because if you remember that interview, I mean, the level of the interview was really low. And to be honest, the level of that interview is as low as the interview of the Nelk boys in terms of content, in terms of pushback, right? And if you remember correctly, about 2 weeks ago, the interview with the Next Boys, after the interview, there was a huge backlash that happens against the Next Boys from their subscribers base. And I think that what pushed Benjamin Netanyahu to have an interview with those guys, so that maybe he can bring a little bit more credibility in terms of what he was saying, right? Because even if the level of that interview was as low as the level of the interview of the Nelk boys, the only thing that the thing that changes here is that you have two guys. Is the settings, right? You have two guys that you know are have already a lot of experience is doing those type of interview with the people that has the type of visibility that this war criminal has. And also you can see the difference between their demeanor. They're a lot more confident, they look a little bit smarter, a little bit more intellectual, and also they do have a little more knowledge. I was going to say a little bit more knowledge, but they do have more knowledge of the conflict itself in the Middle East, right? So there's a difference in terms of the setting, in terms of the meat that surround the bone, instead of the bone itself that remains the same, which is the oldest question, you know, the fact that he pushes back or he doesn't push back. And this is exactly the same thing. So in that regard, there's no secret. We know where these two guys stand. We know in what team they play. They definitely play in team BB. They play in team genocide, and in that regard, right, nothing is changing. Maybe something changes because these guys do it knowingly, and the Nelk boys, I'm not sure that they did it knowingly, at least for one of them, right? I'm not sure that they did it knowingly, although I have my doubt, to be honest with you, after seeing their video of the trip to Israel, right? But in any case, right? So that's where we are right now. We're gonna do a reaction video of these guys, and we're gonna see where it's going to lead us, right? So let's go, let's roll.
It's great to have you on the show. As you know, what we do on the show is try to speak the truth, find out what the truth is, push back when it's appropriate, and have an honest conversation. That's why you're here, and we really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Yo, bro, yo. Hold on, cowboy. You're going a little bit too fast. Hold on. So, you see, that's what bothers me here, because every time you listen to those guys, those pro-Israeli talk, I mean, you have to stop them every second, right? I used to, and let me tell you a quick story short, is that I'm listening to those interviews of Israeli spokesperson, IDF, government spokesperson, right? And I was always asking myself, but why isn't this guy, the interviewer, stopping him at every time he lies, right? Every time there's a lie. And you come to realize that these guys are lying so much that if you had to stop them at every lie, I mean, it would be a full-time job and you would get rich at it, right? And if it's not a full-time job, I mean, stopping them at every lie, I mean, if you plan a show or an interview that lasts like 1 hour, be prepared to stay there for about 5-6 hours, because they lie at every sentence. And you can see that here, we haven't even started to ask the question. We're just in the premise. And I already have to stop you and react. I already have to stop them and react. Here's the premise that is giving us, right? And if it was different guys than that, I would have agreed. I mean, I wouldn't have stopped. But knowing where those two guys stand and knowing, the record of lies of this guy, this is just flat out BS. What the premise that he just told us, right? So he said, we're going to try to talk the truth. We're going to try to get to the truth. We're going to try to push back, and we're going to try to have an honest conversation. So I'm just talking about them right now, right? So how can they do that, right? Get to the truth, try to talk the truth, push back, and have an honest conversation, right? When these guys are already in bed with this war criminal that is right there, right? So they're not the right person. These guys are not the right person to do what he's telling us in his premise. They're definitely not, because they're already bought to the cause of this guy, right? They already have a genocidal tendency that is matching the one of their master, Benjamin, war criminal, Bibi Netanyahu, right? That's what it is. So already the premise there is wrong. Now, if we continue, we're going to see that he's saying, oh, yeah, that's the reason why we specifically have you there, so that we can get to the truth and so that we can have an honest conversation. Can you believe that? I mean, knowing the record, the record of lies, how many lies this guy has talked about. I mean, even this guy, I mean, you look at Netanyahu, he's looking at the dude there and he's saying like, are you sure what you're saying or what? Am I hearing you well? What do you mean truth? What do you mean honest? Yeah, because this guy, this guy doesn't know what it means, right? Look at him. He seems oblivious to what this guy is saying, right? So you want to have an honest conversation, and that's specifically why you brought this guy in. That's the wrong guy, dude. That's the wrong guy. And so in all these premises there, you have the wrong guys to ask the question and do the pushback, and you also have the wrong guy to truthfully answer those questions and have an honest discussion. This is not going well. Right there, to be honest with you, you can already turn off your computer and go do something else, because you know that the rest, everything else is going to be BS. Simple as that. Fact. Right? So, nevertheless, I'm not going to stop there. I promised you guys that I was going to do a reaction video, and that's exactly what we are going to do. Right? Yeah, let's rock and roll.
We have obviously lots of questions for you, including many of the things that are being said about Israel here in the West that you probably don't agree with. Before we get to that, though, what I really want to ask you about is October the 7th, and you had a very strange and unique experience that very few human beings have ever had, which is being in charge of a country of 10 million people when it's attacked in this horrific way. Where were you? How did you find out what was going on, and what was your immediate reaction? What did you think? What did you feel? How did you act in those moments?
Well, it was 6:29 on Shabbat, Saturday morning. Got a phone call from my military secretary informing me that we've just been invaded by Hamas. The first thing that I asked was, is it a full-scale invasion? He said, looks like it. And I said, can we get the Hamas leaders? But subsequently, I made my way to the military headquarters of Israel in Tel Aviv, called for a general call-up of our reserves, hundreds of thousands, and declared war. And then proceeded to focus on the mission of winning that war. And I can tell you that in these moments, you're really concerned with action. You're concerned with decisions. You're not, you don't wallow in the mire, as they say. You really think about what needs to be done now.
So that's funny. Okay, let's stop right there and let's talk a little bit about the answer to the first question, right? Because I actually, at the end of the day, that was a really legitimate question. Everybody wants to know, okay, what time did you receive the call? What happened during the October 7th? Where were you? What were you doing? And how did you react, right? So everybody wants to know the answer, right? So it makes total sense. Now, when I'm listening to the answer that he gave, one point, in my opinion, didn't really make sense. The first point that he gave, when the guy called him, his military dude called him and tells him that, okay, we're being invaded by Hamas. Then he asked him this question, so what is the scale of the invasion? Is this a full-scale invasion? Which makes sense to me, right? As a question, right? Totally legitimate as well, right? And these guys says that, yeah, it's probably a full-scale invasion that they're doing right now, right? So the only question, the only question that I have in regard to the term invasion, and actually even worse, full-scale invasion, I mean, can they really do a full-scale invasion with 3,000 combatants and like armed with like AK-47 hand grenade and like the rocket thing? Can they really do that? Because when I'm talking about full-scale invasion, I don't know what it means about full-scale invasion, but to me, full-scale invasion means full-scale invasion, meaning that, okay, they want to invade Israel, control Israel, right? Take control of Israel. And to me, it seems a little bit far-fetched. It seems like you're a little bit like psycho, right, somewhere. Especially when you know that Israel is a military state. And that you know that there's weapon in the street, there's military guys that are walking down the street, police that are down the street, and that even civilians are armed. Remember when you see like maybe a Palestinian or I don't know who's trying to stab people like in the streets of Tel Aviv. I mean, the guy is getting shot down, not always by the police. He's getting shot down by passerby, by civilians. What are you talking about? So it's funny because that reminds me that okay, when they say every accusation is a confession, that reminds me that those guys are always saying that, yeah, you look in Palestinian house and there's weapons everywhere, which is kind of strange because they're being watched, they're being monitored by Israel. So I kind of doubt that it's that easy to get a weapon in every Palestinian house. But go look in the house of every Israeli. I'm pretty sure you're going to find a good stash of weapons there. So what is he trying to tell us right now? Is he trying to tell us that Hamas, with 3,000 fighters, has the capability to do a full-scale invasion of Israel? Is it what he's trying to tell us? Because what Hamas said actually was that they did that to be able to get some hostages that they can exchange against the Palestinian prisoners or hostages that Israel has in its dungeons. The thing is that, yeah, I mean, it is a legitimate question that he's asking is military guy. My only question is that what does he mean by full-scale invasion? Because a full-scale invasion to me is pretty big, right? So now the second thing that he's saying here is that the second question that he asked his dude is, can we get to the Hamas leaders? Now, okay, I'm not saying that at one point you cannot ask that question, right? You can ask that question when he does his meeting, and he's meeting with his army personnel, and they talk about strategy and all that stuff. Yeah, that's the place to ask the question, right? But when that happens, what you want to have is that you want to have you want to know what's going on. You want to know the how critical is the situation on the ground, right? What is the how critical is that invasion, right? And what is the status actually, right? So I wouldn't have asked that question. The question that I would have asked is maybe question like, okay, how far inland did they get through, right? Were we able to push them back? Were we able to hold them? How did we react? I mean, I would have liked to know what is the actual situation on the ground, and how are we doing to counter what is going down, or what are we doing, or what are we planning to do to counter what is going down on the ground actually, right? So when he's saying like, okay, can we get to Hamas leaders? That kind of sounds strange in my ears, right? And then he's talking, and when he started to talk about after that about action and decisions, because it's not time to I don't know what he's talking about. But my question is that you received a call at 6:30. It started at 6:30. And people are saying that from 6:30 to I don't know what time, the IDF didn't respond, and that it took a lot of time to respond. And you're talking about now it was time for decision and it was time for action, right? Then my question would be like, why did it take so long? Because you were in that action and decision mode at 6:30. It shouldn't have taken you that long. I mean, Israel is not such a big country, for the military to take that long to react, especially for a country that is that militarized, right? So these are my kind of questioning in that doesn't make sense. His answer just doesn't make sense. I don't know why. I don't know if that's the pressure of the moment or what, but to me it doesn't make sense. You tell me. I'll let you tell me what you think about this, if it does make sense. So this concludes the reaction on the first question, and I think I'm going to stop that block here. So wait for the next block that I'm going to publish in a few days, where I'll be giving you my reaction to the second question that has been asked by the Triggernometry guys to the war criminal in chief Benjamin Netanyahu, aka BB.